Hi everyone, this is section 2, lesson 6, overwhelming degrees of provision. And today's lesson I talked for 40 minutes about God's provision in my life and how he always provides, and so I'm kind of at loss what to say in this podcast. I'm still not sure why God has me doing all the different aspects of this curriculum, but God provides. And I think that's something that I think it's something we have to experience for ourselves. I think that's one thing that I learned is it's nice to hear the stories where God provides for other people, but it's a different thing when you are trusting him to provide for your needs, your food, your bills, when you're stepping out in faith and trusting that he's going to take care of you. That's a whole different story. And I've heard tons of stories of God's provisions, but none of them touch my life like the stories in my own life where I can think back to when God's provided for me. And so I think it's one of those things, like, we just have to get to the point where we step out in faith. And when we step out in faith, that's when God meets us, right? God doesn't meet us beforehand. That's very rare that God meets me before I step out in faith. He always meets after I step out in faith and obedience. Then he provides. Because I wouldn't learn anything if he was, if we're doing stuff out of our own means, then what faith is? There's no faith required for that. Like, if I had $1 million and I was like, oh, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, well, I have $1 million, so it doesn't require faith for me to step out and do anything. It might require like generosity or other things, but it doesn't require faith because I can see the $1 million in my account. I know that I have the means to do what God's asking me to do if God asks me to do something with that money. So really very low faith is required. But if I didn't have $1 million, if I had $17 in my bank account and God asks me to do something, that's when the faith comes in. So, and then faith isn't faith unless it has works behind it, like the word says. So my encouragement today is trust God for your provision. Step out in faith and build those experiences for yourself of God providing for you so that you can stand on those to climb higher and higher, to go farther and further with the Lord, because he is the source. And you always have to remind yourself, when you're trusting God, you have to be still and know who he is. He's the God who created everything. He's got your whole life in his hands. He literally is keeping you breathing. And if you can keep that in your focus, it really helps when you're trusting him for finances or for, healing or for anything else, that he is on the throne of the universe, of everything that is. God is in control. So, yeah, overwhelming degrees of provision.